Hat, check. Sunglasses, check. Notes, check. Pepsi, check. Sources, check. Thick skin, check. Oh, and one more thing. 10,000 subscribers, check. Let's go! Hey, welcome back to Golden Blue Dude with your humble host, Golden Blue Dude. And if you're a diehard college football fan, this is the place for you. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button because that's all we do here. Quick reminder, I do now have a P.O. box, so you can send me stuff to display on my back wall. So represent your team and send your gear to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. Well, it's official. West Virginia has named their starting quarterback for the Backyard Brawl. And not surprisingly, it's going to be JT Daniels. This story comes from a good source, the voice of Motown. Here's what he had to say about this. 4 days before the Mountaineers open the season against the Pitt Panthers in the Backyard Brawl, West Virginia is one of the last remaining teams in the country that have yet to officially name their starting quarterback for the season. Last week, head coach Neal Brown was resolute, saying that he was not ready to name a starter. Quote, "We feel really good about our present and future. We're not to that point to name a starter. I'll announce a starter before the Pitt game," Brown said. "There's not been a final decision." Fast forward to now. This was after JT Daniels was named the starter. He's mature, he's older, I would say weathered, and I mean that in a positive way, said Neal Brown. He's been through some real highs, and he's been through some real lows. His approach is that of a veteran. He's really intelligent. Wow, high praise from Neal Brown, but expected praise. What I've really been encouraged by, and this is something that we've kind of challenged him with early, and he's really answered, is he's been great in the meeting room, especially he and Nico Markiel. They've gotten really close, which I think has been a huge positive for Nico. He's knowledgeable, he understands defenses. Wow, I'm liking what I hear. He understands what we're trying to do within the system. Absolute praise by Neal Brown. Once again, expected praise, but it's nice to actually hear it from the coach himself. So JT Daniels officially named the starting quarterback for West Virginia for the Backyard Brawl. And the line, the last time I checked the line, it was Pitt favored by 7 points. Now, was this factoring into that they thought that JT Daniels was going to be named the starting quarterback? I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see if the line fluctuates between now and kickoff of the Backyard Brawl, because this is a big deal. This is exactly what West Virginia needed. Last year, West Virginia went 6-6 with starting quarterback Jarrett Deggy, who transferred to Western Kentucky, couldn't win the starting quarterback there, had to call in a favor from Neal Brown, our head coach, and he transferred to Troy, which is where Neal Brown came from. Western Kentucky, the quarterback that beat out Jarrett Deggy, only beat Austin Peay by 11 points. That's the quarterback that we had last year. And I'm not trash talking the dude. I just think he wasn't ready for Power 5 competition. JT Daniels is more than ready for Power 5 competition. Really, the only thing they has to look out for is getting injured. West Virginia is really good at keeping their players healthy. No offense to Georgia, but if you look at their injury reports year after year after year, they have a ton of injuries. Last year, JT Daniels was part of the injury report that Georgia is used to put out year after year after year. I mean, even Tyke Smith, who transferred from West Virginia to Georgia, what happened? Injured very early in his career at Georgia. Now, he's healed up. He's ready to go at Georgia, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does over there. But my point is, Georgia is used to injuries, and JT Daniels just happened to be in that system. Well, he's at West Virginia. The last time West Virginia had an injury at quarterback was Will Greer with this pinky finger. That was his own fault when he reached out for a touchdown, landed on the ball, and it jammed his pinky. But that's it. We have a really good report whenever it comes to injury reports. So I think West Virginia will be able to keep him healthy. But even if he does get injured halfway through the season, he will at least be healthy for this game, and that helps West Virginia tremendously. Of course, we already know that Pitt named Keaton Slovis their starting quarterback. That was going to be expected as well. So this is going to be a duel between two former USC quarterbacks. And I asked USC fans, unbiased opinions, they have no dog in this fight, who would you prefer if you had to choose between Keaton Slovis and JT Daniels? Overwhelmingly, not even close, JT Daniels. So that encouraged me as well. I'm excited going into the Backyard Brawl. I could not say the same thing about 9 months ago after the regular season of 2021. I was hopeful that West Virginia could beat Pitt, but I really didn't believe it. Then, of course, Kenny Pickett moves on to the NFL. West Virginia goes out and gets a great offensive coordinator, Graham Harrell. Maybe I'm thinking, oh, maybe we can make this a close game. That attracts JT Daniels. Now I'm thinking, I think we can win this close game. And then Jordan Addison announced that he's transferring out of Pitt to USC. And oh yeah, they lost their offensive coordinator Mark Whipple to Nebraska. Yes, I am very confident that West Virginia is going to go on the road and beat Pitt. And one thing that people don't realize last year, they look at 6-6. West Virginia was a terrible team. Yeah, we weren't great. But 4 of those 6 losses were those 50-50 football games where we could have won them. All that was missing was a halfway decent offense. That defense kept us in games we had no business being in. It's going to be that same great defense that we've always had, because that's one thing Neal Brown has shown: consistent defense. Good. It's going to be good. Now we're going to have a good offense to go with it. I think West Virginia is going to be a very dangerous team in the Big 12 this year. I think their potential is 9-3, possibly 10-2 if they don't trip up and lose where they're not supposed to lose. But yeah, I expect West Virginia to be competitive in the Big 12 and at least be in the Big 12 championship race. I don't know if they'll win the Big 12, but they're going to be right there in the end. No, I don't expect them to be in the playoff hunt at any point in the entire season. But I do expect them to be in the Big 12 title hunt. And maybe if they pull off a few upsets and can backdoor their way into the Big 12 championship, anything can happen in one game. So yes, I confidently have that pinned in as a win. After that, Kansas, that's a win. FCS Towson, that's a win. At Virginia Tech, tough, hostile road environment, but Virginia Tech's not going to be good. That's a win. On the road to Texas, I think Texas is going to be much better this year. Quinn Ewers was finally announced the starting quarterback, so maybe not the issues that we thought Texas was having. I have this as a 50-50 loss for West Virginia. Then they come back home to number 10 Baylor. Baylor's never won in Morgantown. That trend continues. West Virginia beats Baylor in Morgantown. And then the potential trap game at Texas Tech. Since Neal Brown has taken over, we have not played Texas Tech very well. So that could go either way. Unfortunately, I think it goes towards Texas Tech. I don't know. I just had this gut feeling, so I have that as a loss. Come back home to a bad TCU. That's a win. At Iowa State. Iowa State's not going to be very good at all. That's a win. Come back home to number 9, Oklahoma. We've never beaten Oklahoma in the Big 12, but Oklahoma is in a big-time transition period. I think we finally beat Oklahoma this year. Kansas State, they're going to be a sleeper, but it's in Morgantown. That's a win. And then finally, on the road to number 12, Oklahoma State. I don't think Oklahoma State's going to be as good as what they were last year, but this is going to be on the road, and they're going to be good enough to beat West Virginia at home. So I have West Virginia finishing 9-3. That is a big step forward this year. And hey, who knows? If we don't fall asleep on the road to Texas Tech, and that turns out to not be a trap game, it could be a 10-win season. And hey, who knows? Maybe we are good enough to go on the road and beat an Oklahoma State who's going to take a slight step back this year. That's 11-1. That's all I'm saying. But I'm going with 9-3. I will say this. Every time Graham Harrell has gone to a new team, that team has jumped 8 to 10 points per game as far as averaging points per game. If you would have applied that to last year's team, West Virginia would have gone 11-1. So before you go out laughing on me, as I'm predicting West Virginia go 9-3, and if things really fall the way we want them to, 11-1, just remember that if we would have had a halfway decent offense last year, we would have probably been a 10-win season. That's what this season comes down to. And I do expect our offense to be much better than what it was last year. However, the backyard brawl, only 4 days away. If West Virginia loses on the road to Pitt, all this goes away, and I'm left scratching my head. And that's why they play the game. You don't actually know what's going to happen. You're just hoping you know what's going to happen. Y'all let me know in the comments section. Did this surprise you? JT Daniels named starting quarterback at West Virginia. And do you think it'll affect the line now that he's officially the starting quarterback at West Virginia? That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on my next show.